1, 2, 3.
That it cuts it. That. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You know what time it is? It's 9 o'clock. That means it's time for the live zone prime time.
We're here,
Tony
baby.
P with a fresh haircut. I'm producer.
Oh, right. You did notice.
Thank you so much
you,
for
sir.
joining. Like I wouldn't notice my co-host got
I
a
mean,
haircut.
you know,
a
sometimes
fresh cut.
Thank
and
you. It's the
looking
same one every time.
Stylish, my friend.
Thank
as
you. This is
always,
the holiday
as
cut. Got to
always.
make sure I look okay. You know, again, you're making sure for the holiday season, I got to be presentable out there.
I understand entirely. Welcome to the show, whether you're watching on Fox 5 DC's YouTube page or you're watching on Fox Local. You know the deal by now. You see the QR code. If you want to join the conversation, you can always do it by scanning that, or you can jump in that YouTube comment section. Let us know what's on your mind, what you think of some of the stories that we're talking about. If it's live, if it's happening now, we bring it to you. We're starting off, though, with a little breaking news from the White House this evening. You may have seen just minutes ago, President Trump announced on Truth Social that he has signed the Epstein bill. We're going to take you to that Truth Social post. Stand by. Here we go. There it is, right there. President Trump just announced he signed the bill that was sent to him by Congress that compels the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. Here's what he wrote. Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats, was a lifelong Democrat, donated thousands of dollars to Democrat politicians, and was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures, such as Bill Clinton, who traveled on his plane 26 times, Larry Summers, who just resigned from many boards, including Harvard. That's a story we have coming up in just a bit. Sleazebag political activist Reid Hoffman, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who asked Epstein to donate to his campaign after Epstein was charged, Democrat Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, and many more. Perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed, because I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. As everyone knows, I asked Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass this bill in the House and Senate respectively. Because of this request, the votes were almost unanimous in favor of passage. At my direction, the Department of Justice has already turned over close to 50,000 pages of documents to Congress. Do not forget, the Biden administration did not turn over a single file or page related to Democrat Epstein, nor did they even speak about him. Democrats have used the Epstein issue, which affects them far more than the Republican Party, in order to try and distract from our amazing victories, including the great, big, beautiful tax cut bill, strong borders, no men and women's sports, or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, lowering prices, biggest tax and regulation cuts in history, ending 8 wars, rebuilding our military, knocking out Iran's nuclear capability, getting trillions of dollars invested in the USA, creating the hottest country anywhere in the world, and even delivering a huge defeat to the Democrats on the recent shutdown disaster. For years, our great nation has had to endure Russia, 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 Ukraine, 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 impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and many other Democrat-created witch hunts and scams, all of which have been so terrible and divisive for our country and have been done to confuse, deflect, and distract from the great job that Republicans and the Trump administration are doing. This latest hoax will backfire on the Democrats, just as all of the rest have. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. Tony, that was, without a doubt, the longest thing I have had to read in the history of this show so far.
Wow, I mean, I thought my rundowns were a bit long. I mean, this, I think, trumps it, pardon the pun. I mean, this could have been easily just, I'm signing the bill, that's it, there are Democrats that are involved, let's move on. I mean, you have to wonder why he would have this predicate before saying, I signed the bill. Like, what is the need to have all this? And this goes back to the PR strategy that you're hearing inside Democratic circles and even some Republican circles that are saying that the president really messed this up in his own PR strategy, where he was doing things that made him look like he had something to hide before he even had the files released or the emails were released. So this is a PR thing that he is still continuing even by releasing these files, which is a great thing, of course. Mm-hmm. He's still looking like, okay, I didn't want to do it. Why am I doing it? Like, there's a lot of things there that, again, this is a bipartisan issue and a bipartisan kind of scratching of the head of why would the president do this when he released it and continue this PR situation? Because the biggest thing is you don't want to look guilty in these situations. This could have been avoided as a whole issue if the president just released the files on his same timeline that he said during the election timeline, and then when he got into office back in February when he had the influencers out there with the books, could have released it in the last few months. So this is just another, I think, part of the PR strategy that just keeps bumbling and fumbling for the president.
And the first thing you said when we got the alert that the president had signed this, and we saw that Truth Social post, was a markedly different bill signing ceremony.
He didn't sign it in person.
The one we saw last week when the shutdown, the 43-day government shutdown, came to an end, which involved Jim Lokey and the press corps down at the White House at 9:45, 10 o'clock, 10:24
it didn't happen twice.
To watch him sign it in front of everyone, whereas this one kind of happened behind closed doors.
It did. I mean, it's a great observation. Again, he did not sign it, not in person. He probably signed it in person, but he didn't sign it on camera with a big ceremony with people behind him. again, like when you looked at how this all started this week, you had a major press conference with the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein, outside members of Congress, bipartisan, from Ro Khanna to Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie. In previous times, you would have thought that the president would have used that moment to bring in the survivors, to bring in people that are interested in this case for transparency reasons. The members of Congress that did push the discharge petition, such as Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, but we did not see that there. So it kind of dovetails this strategy of I'm doing it, but I'm doing it because I've been pushed by my own party to do so. It seems that way. I'm not, like, I don't know that I'm not inside the president's head. I don't want to think for him or speak for him. But this seems like that could be the case because he would have a big ceremony with this. This is a big victory, especially for his base, the podcast bro base, whether it be folks like Tim Dillon or Joe Rogan that have been pushing for this. You would think he would want to celebrate with things like this.
This was not the only news we got today regarding the Epstein files, though, because also today, Attorney General Pam Bondi confirmed that the Department of Justice will release those files, and they will do it in the required 30-day window that was in the legislation that sailed through the House and the Senate yesterday. The files may not be entirely complete, though, completely comprehensive, because the legislation allows the Justice Department to withhold information related to Epstein's victims or ongoing investigations. Tony, before the president signed that, the Department of Justice was our top story because that wasn't the only headlines that the Department of Justice made. They also made headlines for what happened today in court, and that was an admission that the grand jury that charged former FBI Director James Comey was not presented with a final copy of the indictment. That concession by the Department of Justice could imperil the prosecution, and the prosecution is already facing multiple challenges, I should say, and demands for its dismissal. Critics point to this as more proof of the U.S. attorney's inexperience. They also say it's more proof the prosecution is vindictive and at the order of the president. The Justice Department does deny this. James Comey has pled not guilty.
Well, this is definitely a story that just keeps, dovetailing on top of some of the issues inside the Justice Department. When you look at, Kash Patel and some of the records that have come out about him and his usage of government planes. And when you look at this case with James Comey, there was the report that there were private messages between Attorney General Pam Bondi and President Trump that got leaked on the Truth Social, basically, where he was saying we need to go after them. So that's one part that the defense is going to use in this pretrial discovery period. At the same time, when the admonition was unveiled in court about this indictment not being fully read to the grand jury, there was a deafening silence among the jury, among members of the court at the time. So this is potentially a very pivotal and pinnacle moment where you could see, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you could see a potential mistrial or a dismissal of charges based on just this, along with the collection of things from the message between Pam Bondi and President Trump that leaked, as well as the just nature of the political climate that led to this moment, especially with the whole retribution language and the retribution tour that the president did talk about when he was campaigning. So this is going to be a fascinating case because you look at this one dovetailed with former ambassador and former UN ambassador and national security advisor John Bolton, as well as other potential investigations that are happening concurrently. It's a very divisive and very kind of fragile time for the DOJ because we're seeing books be released as well as Abdul, a Republican strategist, media commentator, and writer whose voice you recognize from television and policy circles around D.C. and the country, including CNN, the Washington Examiner, the New York Times, MSNBC, BBC, and Newsmax, a former federal government appointee under President George W. Bush and advisor to many congressional offices and advocacy groups. Malik stands at the forefront of conservative communications, policy strategy, and the working class movement behind America First. Malik, it is great to have you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. And we need you to help us sort out all these just swirling headlines that have happened in not just the last 10 minutes, but the whole day, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh.
Malik, can you hear us still?
Oh. Uh-oh.
Stand by. All right, I think we lost him. Tony P, but we're going to try to get him back. We're going to try to get him back in the meantime. Okay?
We don't like pauses, but
yeah,
but I think when you look at these situation, just to kind of go back a little bit on where we are at. The Justice Department has been going through a lot of internal turmoil when it comes to Pam Bondi's leadership, not just from Democrats, from Republicans as well. So you're seeing a lot of friction about the handling of the Epstein case. You're looking at the issues with the FBI and how they've handled situations and things of that matter. Oh, do we have Malik back on?
Good news.
There we go.
Live TV.
Back on.
Malik, thank you. You fell victim to the live zone 9 p.m.
Yes,
curse that we suffer every now
I hope
and
you
then.
didn't miss my beautiful introduction of you.
It was fantastic, if I may say so myself.
It was almost, I'll say this, it was almost as long as Trump's Truth Social post.
Yeah.
That's why I was asleep. I had to wake up from the Truth Social post because I had dozed off.
It had nothing. Listen, I could have gone with a more dramatic read of it, but I don't have the Trump mannerisms down the way my friend Tony P
Oh
does
my
here.
God, no, but I'll tell you, sometimes I am known for being long-winded. I'll tell you, my aunts thought I was going to be a mute when I was a kid. They said, go see a speech therapist. That was the worst decision they ever made, because now I can't be quiet, basically. But Malik, thank you so much for joining us. And again, I've always loved, your insights on media and social media. And I want to kind of start just with all of this stuff swirling around, right? We have the Comey situation today. We have the Epstein file release and signature. Like, given all the background in your, media and policy, like, what do you think is the one story that stands out right now that is impacting President Trump and conservatives the most out of all of these stories?
Well, right now, it really is the Epstein files, and that's simply because it's a bit more fresh. It's not exactly focused on what the administration should be when it comes to the economic concerns. But, I'm one of those, the issue with the Epstein files for Donald Trump, that is he brought people into his administration like Dan Bongino, who built a cult following on the issue of the Epstein files, pushing the Epstein conspiracy, either him committing suicide or this Epstein list. I think what happened that Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, and a number of others, by the time they got in the administration, see, it's different when you're doing something on social media versus actually governing. And I think that they ended up having a different perspective on it once they got into office. And in the case of Dan Bongino particularly, I think that Dan Bongino just had a lot of egg on his face because he was the one who really pushed the theory. Donald Trump did respond to questions about Epstein, but it was people like Dan Bongino, and I'm glad you guys mentioned, the binders at the binder influencers and binders at the White House earlier this year that AG Bundy orchestrated. All of these things really hurt Donald Trump and really his own comments about it. I think Donald Trump is right to push back against what we really do know is that out of all the people or of all the years that Epstein had been accused of some type of crime, Donald Trump's name is the only name that comes up. So I actually get why Donald Trump is a bit frustrated and maybe a bit pissed, but as usual, Donald Trump steps in it himself. And so he makes the story much bigger than what it needs to be. But I think it's a good thing that the files are being released. I do believe, though, that people on both sides of the aisle, they're going to be disappointed in what they actually ultimately get.
Very interesting point. And when you look at the fallout in Republican circles, whether it be the podcast community, parts of MAGA, what are some of the things that people aren't talking about that they probably should be out of this situation with Epstein in Republican circles?
Honestly, I think how it all started. That's why I mentioned Dan Bongino. There are a lot of people now who are focused on, and Donald Trump himself, attacking Marjorie Taylor Greene, calling her a traitor, when at the end of the day, Marjorie Taylor Greene is actually carrying out what many people in MAGA land have wanted all along when it comes to these Epstein files. So they're not holding Donald Trump for bringing in the people into his administration. They're attacking people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And for someone like me, who, I've been around, been in politics for a while, the point that I continue to make is that it's great. We're going to attack Marjorie Taylor Greene, call her a traitor based on her doing what Republicans have always wanted Republicans to do. But at the same time, as we saw last night, Elon Musk, it's back. The very person who suggested that Donald Trump was a pedophile, that he was, basically taking advantage and molesting young girls is now back at the table in the White House. And I think his billions and his influence, I mean, as far as at least social media is concerned, has a lot to do with it. So I'm one of those, even though I haven't always been a fan of MTG, I have been critical of Elon Musk. So I think that the Republicans are really missing it, kind of dropping the ball here when it comes to this Epstein issue. But as you see, and I heard what Donald Trump said, but just last week, it probably wasn't going to be rather almost a unanimous vote for Republicans. I think Donald Trump did probably, he did give a signal that it's okay for people to support it, but it was not a sustainable position for Republicans not to vote for the release of the Epstein files. And you're talking about somebody who voted for Donald Trump 3 different times.
Do you think in all of this chaos and confusion that you've spoken about so well, do you think this could create a vacuum in power potentially in the MAGA movement or change the tectonics in the GOP like we saw in 2015 when there was a rudderless moment and then Donald Trump rose up? Do you see that happening again because of these fractures being exposed?
So I do believe that Donald Trump, and you have to look at the arc of Donald Trump as far as, well, at least the arc of history when it comes to Donald Trump. And I often remind people that as far as the Republican Party, first Republican I voted for was Donald Trump in 2016. But when you look at the arc of history for Republicans, the Republican Party, there had been a vacuum since Reagan. Not H.W. Bush nor G.W. Bush were considered, generational figures in the party. And so it did leave the door open for Donald Trump. So I do think that Donald Trump brought in a new face to conservatism. He is not exactly, 100% conservative, and some of the things probably maybe a bit more libertarian. But I think that what Republicans have to focus on, and what Republicans have to continue to focus on, at least now that Donald Trump is in office, and what is the next step. I believe, and I get a lot of pushback from, on it, but I believe that after 2020, we're already seeing the fractures within MAGA. I believe that once Donald Trump leaves the White House, which he will in 2028, that will ultimately be the end of MAGA. I think we're seeing the beginning of the end now, and you're going to have a lot of people competing to be either, MAGA light. People assume that J.D. Vance is going to be the heir apparent. He may be the heir apparent when it comes to MAGA, but there are many millions of other people like me who don't look at J.D. Vance as the future of the Republican Party. So there is MAGA and there is the Republican Party. A lot of people who even supported Trump aren't necessarily Republicans. And I think that is something, it will have to be a reset in the GOP space after Donald Trump leaves, because it's a very kind of bifurcated coalition that Donald Trump has, but that is a coalition that only Donald Trump can maintain. I don't think that anybody else, maybe other than Marco Rubio, would get a similar coalition that Donald Trump has. So we need to be concerned about the future of the Republican Party, because we've embraced not just MAGA, you mentioned the podcast bros, and all of these people who like Donald Trump. They may even like to be retweeted on Twitter or something, but they're not active Republicans. And that's going to be the issue. And we just saw it a couple of weeks ago in the races in Virginia, New Jersey. But also we're going to see that next year. And according to the polls right now, even a Fox News poll that I saw today, 76% of Fox News respondents say that the economy under Donald Trump is worse.
Wow.
So that will be on the ballot in 2026, and Republicans are going to have to get a handle on it.
Now, President Trump does have nearly 3 years left in his administration. How do you think Republicans and Donald Trump can come back from this, consolidate, and maybe get some of the priorities passed before these fractures become more exposed post-2026 and into 2028?
Well, I think the biggest issue is Congress. What's going to happen to Congress next year? Typically, when you have an administration come in during the midterm elections, they typically lose one or both houses, meaning either the houses of Congress, either that is the Senate or the House. It looks as if that Republicans are pretty comfortable when it comes to the Senate, but the question is what happens with the House? With all of these redistricting efforts going around the country, it's not looking as if Republicans are going to get a lot of gains out of that, possibly so, but I think that that is one of the things that has to be concerning for Republicans, what happens in 2026, because think of where we started at the beginning of the year. That was, this is what we voted for. This is what we voted for. And what were they focused on? They were focused on rooting out DEI. They were focused on, the military, getting trans people out of the military. They were focused on fighting with colleges, trying to get colleges to, basically have the federal government oversee college enrollments and hirings and all of those things. And did you notice, though, what I did not mention? The economy. That is what people are concerned about, and the administration and Republicans have to deliver an economic message. So when that vote comes up, and I do believe that John Thune and Mike Johnson will bring the bill to extend the ACA subsidies to the floor, and I do believe that actually will pass. Republicans have to have an answer, because if you have insurance premiums going up, double, triple, that will be on the ballot next year. So Republicans really have to focus hard on an economic message. I get that there are some successes that Trump had when it came to foreign policy, but what you're hearing over and over again, what about domestic policy?
Right.
And who was the person who said, is the economy stupid? It really is the economy.
Right. I mean, again, always so detailed, Malik. Thank you so much for he's like great insight. It's so granular, and you explain it so well and easy for all of us to really take it in.
Can I just add something before I go?
Yeah,
And I
of
would
course,
have never otherwise do this.
Of course.
Invite me back.
Yeah, yes, please.
Yes.
We want you on. I
Absolutely.
could hear you talk about this for an hour and a half. So
Yeah, we
please,
didn't even get into the Comey
Right.
indictment and what
Oh,
happened
wow.
in court today.
Come back tomorrow if you want
So,
to.
yeah,
I can do that tomorrow.
There is
Hey, we're
always, always a spot for you here
Yes, Malik, thank you
at the
so
Live
Thank you
Zone
so
Prime
much.
Time.
Yes, Malik Abdul, thank you so much for joining us, Republican strategist, consultant, and just a great explainer of all things. Thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Thanks
We'll
for
see
having
you
me.
very soon. And again, thank you for the love on my post today. I appreciate that.
Thanks, guys.
You're the
All
best.
right. In the meantime, we're going to take you out to the House floor, out to Congress. Once again, Tony P, they're making up for
Lieutenant
lost
Colonel
time
Hardy.
over at
He
the
kept the
Capitol
mission
building
first.
after
Working.
they
Front
spent
and
7
center.
weeks on
With the other
recess.
Tuskegee
We'll
Airmen,
leave
they
you with
exceeded
this live
expectations.
picture. We're going to take a quick
they
break.
left
When we come
behind
back,
a
we're going to talk about what
spectacular
Tony was
record
watching today.
of
And then a little
service
later, we're
and
going to talk about the
And though these
number
men
8 basketball,
took
high school
off
basketball
as the
recruit in
unlikeliest
the
of
nation
American
from right
heroes.
here in Montgomery County, making
They
it official
landed
where he will be playing
as
in
what is
college, and he
possibly
is
the
staying
greatest,
close to home.
most
We're going to take a quick
well-known,
break. We'll be right
most
back.
well-decorated fighting force in this nation's history. And so as a young man now that has the privilege to represent Tuskegee, it is my honor and it is my obligation, my duty, to stand on this House floor and acknowledge the life, the legacy of Lieutenant Colonel George Hardy and the Tuskegee Airmen and all of those who have served this nation. And with that, I will yield to my colleague from Alabama, Gary Palmer.
Thank you. It's appropriate that we acknowledge the passing of the last of the Tuskegee Airmen. I'd just like to share with you a little bit about them. They trained at Moton Field in Tuskegee Airfield in Tuskegee, Alabama, and later formed units like the 99th Fighter Squadron and the 332nd Fighter Group. They were under the command of Colonel Benjamin Oliver Davis, Jr., who was born right here in Washington, D.C. When the pilots of the 332nd Fighter Group painted the tails of their P-47s red, the nickname Red Tails was coined. The red markings that distinguished the Tuskegee Airmen included red bands on the noses of the P-51s. Some of the bomber crews who flew missions, some of the most dangerous missions during World War II, called them the Red Tail Angels. In combat during the war, they flew over 15,000 sorties escorting bombers and engaging enemy fighters. They received numerous accolades for the service, including 3 distinguished unit citations, 96 distinguished flying crosses, 14 Bronze Stars, 744 air medals, at least 60 Purple Hearts, and 1 Silver Star. Colonel Davis went on to become the first African-American Brigadier General in the United States Air Force. It is totally appropriate that we recognize the incredible accomplishments with all the opposition that they faced that the Tuskegee Airmen achieved in defense of our liberty. I yield back.
All right, you hear that sound, you know what that means.
It's a great
means
sound.
Live Zone
Smooth.
Primetime is back, and I got the title right. It's always the second time
Right, it
that I
is.
struggle a little bit. All right, you were just taking
We're
a
all on
live
tonight.
look at the House floor, taking care of some business, but now we need to take care of some business, and we need to get to what Tony is watching today.
Yes.
So,
Let's
take
get
us
started.
through it, Tony.
So we will, and I love that they were honoring in Congress the Red Tails from World War II. Wonderful thing they were doing in Congress tonight. But we're turning to the Department of Justice now because they have formally charged Florida Democratic Representative Sheila Sherfulus McCormick, along with others, in an indictment alleging she used a nearly $5 million overpayment from the Federal Emergency Management Agency funded COVID-19 contracts to support her 2021 congressional campaign and personal expenses. The funds were purportedly routed through a healthcare company tied to her, then from there laundered via straw donors and personal accounts. The DOJ says the scheme also included conspiracy to file false tax returns. This dovetails a Trump-appointed review panel that concluded recently that FEMA should be strengthened and elevated to a cabinet-level agency. However, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who also co-chairs the panel, is pushing a very different approach. Her draft recommendations would cut FEMA's staffing by half, relocate its headquarters to Texas, limit its role to debris removal and emergency protection, and reduce the federal disaster cost share from 75% to 50%. The conflicting visions have created tension just as President Trump prepares to decide the agency's future. After the House voted to release the Epstein files this week, 427-1, and the Senate gave it automatic approval, the bill was signed tonight by President Trump, of course, and this dovetails the timing as it comes as Larry Summers stepped down from the OpenAI board today, as well as from his teaching duties temporarily at Harvard just recently surfaced, after newly surfaced communication showed past contact with Jeffrey Epstein. Harvard confirmed via the Harvard Crimson that the university has opened an investigation into Summers' relationship with the Epstein. Democrats are also rolling out a new message for the election season coming up in 2026, calling high living costs the costs of corruption. They argue that rising prices for rent, groceries, and healthcare are tied to political and financial corruption that has grown more visible in recent years. Strategists say the messaging is resonating with working class voters who feel squeezed in the current economy. This comes as Axios reports Democrats have their highest lead in a generic ballot against Republicans since 2017, with nearly a 14-point advantage as of today. Turning to the business world, NVIDIA reported strong earnings today, posting a profit increase of about 38% compared to last year. The company credited a surge in demand for its artificial intelligence chips and data center products. NVIDIA also raised its full-year outlook and increased its dividend, giving the broader market a boost. In the entertainment world tonight, Page Six reports that Nick Carter is teasing another international tour for the Backstreet Boys. Millennials, you'll love this one. Following the success of their Las Vegas residency into the millennium, which runs through February of next year. Also in Hollywood, Extra reports that Katherine Schwarzenegger took Chris Pratt to a barn for their first date. The location surprised the actor, made the outing feel more relaxed and authentic. The story resonated as a reminder that simple, genuine moments in a world of high-profile celebrity events can still exist, even with celebrity love. On social media, creators are embracing several prominent formats, of course, this week, but one is the answer to all my problems, the format where people humorously reveal that their real-life solution is something surprisingly small but meaningful, and this format is already gaining millions of views on Instagram, TikTok, and others. At the same time, a movement started by content creator Allie Clark called Black Girl Playground is gaining traction as a way for people to meet and build new friendships without spending money. Clark says rising costs of living make socializing feel expensive. I sure know about that. So the club offers low-cost or free ways to meet others, including group hikes and book swaps. And finally tonight, a warm human interest story out of my hometown, Boston. a group of retired teachers converted a small bus into a mobile memory center. They drive it through neighborhoods and invite older residents on board for memory games, conversation, and a small cafe experience. Organizers say many seniors do not have regular access to social clubs, and this bus is helping them rebuild connection and joy in places that have been dormant resources for years. I love these bus stories, I have to say,
Yeah.
because
I've noticed.
again, we've seen it with reading out in Oregon. We've seen it now with elderly folks in the Boston area, especially when it gets cold out. They want a nice, good social environment. It's heated. This is something that I think a lot of my elderly friends and family has said movement and thinking is how you stay young even as you get older, and this is helping them so much. Whether it's a crossword puzzle or having a
Speaking
coffee.
of the elderly,
Oh God, I knew you were
I
going to say
caught that shot you made at the millennials.
I did know that wasn't. Wait a minute, that was not
Now,
a shot.
okay.
Okay.
The
Man,
Backstreet
you have
Boys.
thin
Let's
skin.
talk about the Backstreet Boys here for
All
a
you
second.
millennials have thin skin.
For the record, the album that had "I Want It That Way" on, I believe, was called the Millennium Album or
Right.
something like that.
And that's
don't even
all I
remember.
was saying.
Here's why this is relevant to me. The first concert I ever went and saw without my parents was the Backstreet Boys.
What year was
in
that,
eighth
Chris?
grade. It was eighth grade. Eighth grade for me would have been 1998, probably 1997, 1998.
so
I
guess
think
what?
I saw them at the Spectrum or whatever, the Wells Fargo,
Right.
Wachovia
The old
Center,
Spectrum.
Core State Center, whatever the hell it was. I
Yep.
don't even know. But it was a phenomenal show. And if I had had the money and the time off to go see them in Las Vegas at that residency, you can bet your bottom dollar I would have been there
Hey,
in a
listen.
heartbeat. And if you, sir, don't like the Backstreet
I
Boys,
love the
it's
Backstreet
you
Boys.
who are wrong. And if liking the Backstreet Boys makes me wrong, well, I'll be damned if I don't want to be right.
Where is this
because-
hostility from my
Well,
co-host tonight?
I caught that little mention
It
in
wasn't
there.
a-
It wasn't, we should all universally be excited to see the Backstreet Boys. Tony P., what was the first concert you ever went to?
Okay, the first one. First of all, when you went to that concert in '98, I was born in
Yeah,
1998.
I know that. Yeah.
So
this is what he does. This is
No,
what
no,
he does. He
but
likes
not
to-
in
he
that
likes to take
moment.
some
It's
cheap
a
shots.
moment by moment cheap shot.
Yeah.
No, but when I was, my first concert was Neil Diamond, 2002.
Hell yeah.
With my grandmother at the Fleet Center, which is the TD Garden now.
What year was it?
2002.
2002.
The
So
Fleet
you were just
Center.
a wee
I was a
Tony
wee
P.
lad.
A wee Tony P. at
And then
that
I went
time.
to when he performed at Fenway Park for 4 nights in a row. Went to all 4 nights, and that place was rocking. My
believe
grandmother
it.
had the she was on auctions at that time, and she was very much in the latter part of her life, and she went, and she was barely breathing, but she went, and she was cheering, and
I
it was
love
an incredible
every
memory in
second
2008.
Of that, I saw Neil Diamond in Charlottesville at the John Paul Jones Arena.
Whoa.
This would have been probably, I graduated college in 2006. It would have been either 2007, 2008
No way.
era, depending on when the John Paul Jones Arena opened. It was a phenomenal show. I still
He's
have
great
a
performance.
T-shirt from it. And one of these Fridays, when it's Casual Friday,
Yes.
Tony P., I have to assume you have a Neil Diamond T-shirt as well.
I have a couple, but I gotta
Okay.
find them in my
we
laundry.
will wear
But-
our Neil Diamond
Oh.
T-shirts one of these Fridays.
Well, the movie's coming
That's
out
our
soon.
deal. Yeah, with Hugh
But
Jackman.
by the way,
maybe we'll plan it. We'll time it around
right.
that.
The
all
second movie and the third media event around Neil Diamond, because we had the play, Beautiful Noise, that
And
went on
Beautiful Noise,
Broadway,
which
that
I
did
missed,
so
and I
well.
was so disappointed.
I mean, his life is fascinating. We could do a whole episode on Neil Diamond's life. It is incredibly fascinating.
We're just giving the people what they want. We do have to
Right.
take a break,
I
speaking
know,
of
I
things that
know.
we want. On the other side of that, we are going to talk to the Washington, D.C. woman you just saw tonight on an all-new episode of The Floor. We're going to find out all
Nice.
about that, her time with Rob Lowe, and more on the other side of the break. We'll be right back.
Spiders.
Flying.
Blood.
Numbers.
Holes.
Fire.
Dentist.
Water.
Public speaking.
Clowns.
Getting married.
For height.
Colors.
Small spaces.
Needles.
Crowds. People. Men.
Computers.
Driving.
Bees. Insects.
Throwing up, vomiting.
Doctors.
Feet.
Belly button.
All right, so that
Chickens.
was a clip from tonight's all-new episode of The Floor, which just wrapped up 37 minutes ago
Sleeping.
over on Fox 5. And in case you missed it, spoiler alert, there was some hometown talent involved. We're talking about Latasha B. from Washington, D.C., and fresh off her appearance, she joins us now live on the Live Zone Primetime. Latasha, thank you so
Well
much
done.
for spending some time with us here tonight. Congratulations and well done, like Tony P said.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
Okay, so we cut that clip off a little earlier, but tell us what happened literal moments afterwards.
So you didn't watch it?
Oh, I watched it, and I saw Rob Lowe walk out there, and I saw what he had to say.
Yeah, so what happened was we did so well that we exhausted all the had time left on our clocks.
Oh my goodness.
First time ever in the show history for that to happen.
First time ever in show
Wow.
history. And so, how proud of yourself were you in that moment, and how blown away was everyone else in that room?
I mean, honestly, at first I didn't even know what happened. The time stopped and the screen, like the pictures went off the screen. And so at first I was kind of confused. And then when I realized what happened, I was extremely proud of myself. I think everyone on the floor as well as in the audience was pretty shocked because no one had ever seen anything like that before.
Now let me ask you this. So like this is a really cool story and what a wonderful experience. How did you get started with this? How did you apply? What was the day like and the rehearsals? And to get to this point, like what did it look like behind the scenes?
Oh, it was so much fun. But to start, actually, me and my mom watched the show a lot together. So we were just watching the show and I love trivia. And I just kind of said, I think I can be on that. So I did my research and I applied, sent in a video. And before I knew it, they were reaching back out to me to be on the show. And the show records in Ireland, which was so amazing to be able to just go to Ireland and be there and also be recording a national TV show at the same time. But the days were great. Some of them were long, but it was just a bunch of fun. You're meeting 100 strangers from all over the country. And it was just a really, really good experience. It stretched me, it pushed me, but it really honestly did make me proud of myself and see how good I do under pressure.
So do you have an area of expertise when it comes to trivia? And like where does this passion for trivia come from?
I don't know. I think it's my curiosity. Like I'm just naturally a curious person. I want to know all the things. I love a fun fact. I love hearing them and dishing them out. So it's just I think it's just who I am.
Now, in terms of, you mentioned after my question about you watched it with your mother, you love these type of shows. As we're seeing the shift in streaming and TV, we're seeing social media take over. Do you feel that these type of game shows that are fun, that kind of are more bringing people together, do you think that that's going to resonate and stay with all of our generations, millennials and Gen Zers, as we all start to figure out this social media situation? Do you think that these shows can resonate with a bunch of audiences?
For sure. I think we can all relate at some point in time watching some game show with a family member or friend, even from younger days. So, and now the way that it kind of brings the audience into the game. So it's not only us in their living room, it's almost like they're in the show with us too, playing along and being interactive. I think that's what makes it more fun, is it feels accessible. And it is. I went from watching it to being on it. So if I could do it, I feel like anybody else could do it too.
I love that. And when you think about like how you succeeded at this, if you could give any advice to someone who wants to give it a try and be like you and go on a show like this, what should they practice? How should they conduct themselves in terms of learning about the show, and like any advice that you have so that they can perform and break records like you did?
Okay.
I'm putting you on the spot now with that one.
I would say first and foremost, just have fun. That's the most important thing. Don't take it too seriously. You definitely want to study at whatever game it is, but just make sure you have fun and be yourself. And I think that regardless of the outcome will lead to a good experience.
So since you're from the DMV here in Washington, D.C. area, we know a lot of bars have like trivia nights and stuff like that. Two things. A, do you go to any of them? Do you have any favorites? And B, do you hope to maybe parlay this success on the floor to maybe being a trivia host at some bar or restaurant?
That's a great
here
question.
in the DMV?
I love that. That is now my new goal. So thank you for that. I definitely want to do that. I currently don't have like a favorite trivia spot that I go to, but I'm always open to suggestions, recommendations, and yeah, I'm gonna look to host something. That sounds like a good idea. I think I'd be a good host.
You absolutely
I learned a lot of tips from Rob Lowe, so I was watching him.
Nice. I think you should. I'll tell you, as a social media personality, you should start, if you ever haven't already, start your own page and do some content behind this. People want to see how to do it because you're so good at it, how to just do well at trivia. And then I think, could you see yourself maybe like building, a social presence, based off of this fame and really great success on TV, or would you want to do it more, in the area, or kind of keeping it a little more private?
No, I definitely could. And things like this experience, I'm enjoying this. This is nice.
Good. You're good at it.
So yeah, I could definitely see myself doing more of these. And I'm looking for other game shows to be on.
That was my next question. What would be your, no shade to Rob Lowe and The Floor, an excellent program, but what would
great
be
show,
your
great game.
dream game show to be? Are we talking like a Jeopardy type situation here? Or?
Jeopardy, I don't think I take life serious enough for Jeopardy. Those people aren't playing. They are not playing. But I like the funner games, lighter games, maybe some Wheel of Fortune-ish type stuff, something a little, lighter.
I can see. I imagine like you could break records on Rob Lowe's show and Ryan Seacrest's show. That would be. That's bigger than Ken Jennings breaking the record on Jeopardy, I think.
That's true. That is true. I won't count myself out.
So I think you can.
Latasha, if you don't mind me asking, I know this isn't your full-time thing. What do you do here in the DMV?
I am a midwife.
Okay.
Oh, no way.
I walk alongside birthing people and help them usher their babies into this beautiful world.
All right.
I absolutely love that.
Born with those babies will be born with maybe a thirst for knowledge and trivia.
I think so.
Perfect place to kind of test out your skills a little bit.
I hope
so. What's next for you, Latasha? And where can people follow you if they want to tag along with what your future adventures would be?
Yes, come follow me and motivate me to be more active on social media. I am on Instagram at The Meditating Midwife. And what's next for me is honestly, I'm looking for another game show to be on. Now that I have aired and this one is done, and now I'm like, okay, now let's look for another one. So look out for me.
Well, you let us know
yes,
first,
please.
Okay?
And
when
an
that
exclusive
next
interview
opportunity comes along, we would love to have you back right here on the
When
Live
you win,
Zone Primetime.
because you're going to win,
That's right. Thank you so much.
Tasha, thank you so much for spending some time with us. And just a reminder, you can catch episodes of The Floor Wednesday nights at 8 on Fox 5, or you can catch them the next day streaming on Hulu/Disney Plus. Tony and I are going to take a quick break. When we come back, though, we are talking all about that local high school. I almost gave it away. That local high schooler making the announcement of where he will be playing college basketball. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to leave you with a look at the House floor. We'll be right back.
And machine learning applications. With countless hours of research and lab work,
Thanks,
Esther
guys.
did
Have a
hold
good
back
one.
on the scholarship application. She plans to use the scholarship money to purchase tools and resources to support her research, as well as to cover some school expenses. Now her focus is towards helping the next generation of women engineers and young girls like her who face uncertainty in the next chapter of their life. She wants to pay it forward, as it was a path she didn't take along. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Virginia seek recognition? Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, today I rise to honor a lifetime of service of one of my constituents, Colonel William Woodard Butler, the 2025 Veteran of the Year for Virginia's 4th Congressional District. With over 38 years of service between active duty and the reserves, Colonel Butler has devoted his military career and beyond to improving the lives of our service members, advancing medical research, and giving back to his community. Colonel Butler completed 2 overseas deployments, one to Okinawa and another to Qatar. He has over 980 hours of flight time, of which 65 are in combat. He then rounded out his military career as a professor of aerospace medicine at the United States Air Force School of Aerospace Medicine. In addition to this, he now serves as an active member of his community, as a trustee for the John Randolph Foundation, and a member of the City of Hopewell's Planning Commission.
All right, welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime on this Wednesday night. Right now, you are taking a look at one of the biggest names in high school basketball, and we mean that literally, because we are talking about Blake High School standout Baba Aladoton is his name. And earlier tonight, over in Montgomery County, he announced where he will be heading to college. Now, before we get to that announcement, when we say the biggest names in high school basketball, and we mean it literally, it's because Baba is 6 feet 9 inches tall and ranked the 8th best recruit in the country. We mentioned he's from Maryland, and Tony P, he is keeping things local because earlier tonight he announced that he will be, after he narrowed it down to 2 selections, you see the Georgetown hat and the Maryland hat, he's going to be a Maryland Terrapin. Moments after he made that official announcement, he talked to Fox 5's Chad Ricardo all about why he made that decision and what this moment means to him. Take a listen.
So, Baba, absolute honor to be the first one to interview you now that you've made your commitment. You chose to stay home. Y'all can make noise for that. Yeah! Baba, why did you choose the Terps?
Man, just for my visit, the relationship I built with Coach Buzz Williams and the entire staff meant a lot to me. Felt safe. Both my sisters went to Maryland. It's a 20-minute drive, and just the offensive scheme he had for me as a player to come in there, just dominate as a reclass up freshman. It was meant for me. It was made for me. Like I said, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to take on all the pressure to be a hometown kid. I've always dreamt of playing in a Maryland uniform, so it's a dream come true.
Now, I know that most of the people at home watching right now know everything that you bring to the table, but for those 3 people out there, what is Baba bringing to the Terps?
Yeah, I think I'm the most versatile player in the country. I bring everything 1 through 5 on the offense and the defensive side. This year, I think we got a chance to win the state championship. I know that's all topic. We got the best team in the county. We've been grinding since the offseason, so y'all gonna see us real soon for sure.
Last thing, you said this in your speech. You got your brothers around you right now. I know your family was with you on stage. You got all your brothers right here. What does this team mean to you?
It means everything, really. There's no words for it, really. I can't explain it. I've been with these guys since freshman year. They rocked with me through the good times, through the bad times, and I love them, man. They're my brothers for life.
That's what's up, fellas. Everybody make some noise! Got what we wanted. Some workouts. Let me know. I'm sorry, we got a wire in. Yeah, thank you. Good deal. All right, let's speak to Dad. Hey.
What do you guys
So that
think?
was Chad Ricardo speaking to Baba moments after he made that declaration, Tony P, that he will be a Maryland Terrapin. Chad also spoke
Right there.
to Baba's father, which we'll see here in just a minute, but obviously keeping a hometown talent like that in the area, huge for the Terps.
Oh, and narrowed it down to
First of
two
all,
hometowns.
congratulations,
So,
brother. I can't tell.
incredible
I gotta
stuff.
tell you what.
We'll go to Chad now
I was
with the interview.
talking to other people, and they were like, "Where do you think?" I was like, "I hope it's either Maryland or Georgetown because you all are such a special family. I wanted you to be home here. Why did you all make this choice?"
Well, first of all, Georgetown is one of the greatest institutions, great brand. Coach Ed Cooley, one of the greatest human beings, regardless of, is one of the greatest human beings you will meet. A genuine person. It really comes down to, proximity for us. I've got two daughters going to University of Maryland School of Business, and I've got a nephew work at University of Maryland. I own, property. I got over 60 tenants in University of Maryland. They've been texting me. I heard your son. So I'm not even a private person anymore. All my tenants know my business. And it just, everything just started becoming real. When my tenants that I went there to show you the place, your son is committed. So I will tell them, go back and tell them now he's not going to Maryland. But just 20 minutes drive to the game. And then a very strong campus ministry. That's something always been. If you look at Baba's past interview, he's always say, campus ministry. So you get the support of the brotherhood of faith, and that for me was, just make it easy. I get to see him on Sunday. Like my daughters now, they will come to church on Sunday. With the other campus ministry because they, and then I'll be seeing Baba on Sunday when he's home. Just something as a parent. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to have him around me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to milk, 1-2 years, who knows?
That's right.
And that's pretty much it, just trying to take advantage of that time. So.
I asked you 6 hours ago. Again, this has been a journey. It's been a process for years and years and years. I asked you 6 hours ago what it would feel like when you made this decision. Now that it's been made, how do you feel?
I feel light. For me, one thing that people will tell I'm constantly say is this is going to be the faith going to lead us. So a lot of times the burden is never on me, it's on God, Him. And so really, I'm just a messenger. Like this is where God wants us to be, and that's where we're going to be. But it's been light on me since we made the decision. The biggest thing is just calling all these great men, great coaches. Say, we know you're good, you're great, but you're not a fit for us. That for me is the most difficult part. Because everybody have a story. Nobody got anything hand over to them. Everybody got to where they are, from Coach Calipari, Coach Cooley. It's by the bootstrap. You won't okay, somebody passed something, you know what I'm saying? They have a story that will change your life.
Yes, sir.
So really, opportunity to be in the room and get to meet those great men and then tell them, Coach Baba can't come. But to my surprise, some of the coaches just happy for us. They sent a text back. Calipari sent me 2 texts. Coach Cooley sent me 2 texts to encourage me a big day. That's why my heart is broken for them, and to hear back from them. It's just the biggest biggest healing that I would get. Would you understand where I'm coming from?
That's just
and for me, just such a remarkable experience overall.
I got to tell you what, Ibrahim, on behalf of all of the Terps fans out there that are watching right now, they're very happy, and to you, congratulations, brother.
Thank you so much.
Wow. I mean, I first of all want to say how much I loved, because it's International Men's Day today. It's a Men's Mental Health Month. And watching that young man with all of his friends and true brothers to him, the support, the love in that moment when he selected, and then during that interview, they were right there with him, and Chad was interviewing him, showing the love.
Shout out to Chad.
Great, a fantastic interviewer that he is.
No one does it better.
Nope, he brings incredible joy
Chad Ricardo
and energy.
Capturing that moment, getting the first interview with him immediately afterwards. And I was racking my brain while we were watching that interview, trying to remember the Terps last year. The men's Terp went to the NCAA tournament, if I'm not mistaken. They did win their first game.
It was round of 32, I think.
Round of 32. So for sure, a new weapon for the Terrapins. The 6'9", 6'10" player out of Maryland.
I'll tell you, and the criteria that his father was talking about when it comes to the campus ministry, the proximity. It seems like this is a Maryland family that love the Terps, that love the community around it. This is going to be, I think, a special relationship between the entire family, and as he grows, and I can imagine he's going to be an incredible force for this team. There's already a built-in love there between both sides here. So I think it's just going to be, for Baba and his family, they're going to just make that community even stronger. And the community already loves him and his family. They're used to it. And I think they're going to carry him as well as he, takes on this journey, being a first year, trying to balance school, work, and, of course, being on the basketball court. That's a lot to deal with, schoolwork and all of this. He's going to have a great community around him to support him as he makes this journey. And again, we don't know. It's going to be 1 year, could be 2 or 3 years, 4 years. Yeah. Maybe he might be a first overall pick someday for the Wizards. Just imagine, maybe I should predict this now.
Why would you wish that on him?
No, but I think.
Why would you wish that on him?
I love his view of life and how good of a person he seems to be. I would love to see him on the Wizards or see him maybe on the Celtics. Well, Celtics, Wizards. I'd love to see him play for any one of those teams.
Speaking of
He's
the Washington
wonderful.
Wizards, currently losing 94-88 with 8 minutes and 53 seconds left in the fourth quarter to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Washington Wizards currently 1-12 still on the season, still looking for that second victory. Tony P, coincidental that we just ended up ending both the back-to-back shows this week, talking a little basketball. Because if I know anything, and I don't know much, I know that all of the viewers out there on Fox Local and Fox 5 DC's YouTube page turn to us for all of their basketball knowledge. I did want to get
our debates last night were interesting.
I did, yeah.
No KD on that list.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. No, sorry about that.
DC area native.
Mama Durant was just on Fox 5 this week too, I believe.
Come on,
earlier
you're
this
killing
week,
me.
talking about her upcoming Thanksgiving drive. We did get one comment in the YouTube chat, and I did want to read it in case anyone was wondering. From a user named Malik Abdul. This guy Malik is awesome. Listen, we're not above it.
Malik, I absolutely love him.
So
again,
we did love him.
Detailed. We could have him on for 5 more episodes. I'm going to try to book him next week.
I got to rein Tony in, just so everyone knows out there. I got to rein him in sometimes because the producer and me knows that sometimes we got to keep things moving.
I know.
Tony P, he would have had that conversation going for the next 45 minutes.
I like asking deep questions, and that sometimes leads to deep answers.
We appreciate it very much, and we appreciate you for joining us once again here on the Live Zone Primetime on this Wednesday night. Down to the final 45 seconds. Coming up next on Fox 5 News at 10. I have to double check. Shamari Stone.
What do we have?
Shamari Stone gets all the big stories out there. I believe he's working.
He's the GOAT
on a homicide that happened somewhere in the suburbs tonight. We'll get an update from him coming up on Fox 5 News at 10. Josh is also going to have more on this push by the Department of Transportation to get people to behave better on airlines, especially as we head into the holiday travel season. Shirin has more on this unique collaboration between ChatGPT, OpenAI, and Prince William County Schools. All of that and more coming up in just seconds right here on Fox Local, Fox 5 News at 10. We'll be back tomorrow night. Thanks for watching.